Amidst lush greenery where nature thrives in harmony, lies an unspoken crisis threatening both people and the planet. This serenity masks a harsh reality. Trees vanishing to fill kitchens reliant on firewood. The use of firewood for cooking remains a silent killer, impacting health, the environment, and our global mission for net zero emissions. Tragically, the poorest communities bear the brunt of this hidden catastrophe.
I wanted to cook dinner for my children at the back of the house with firewood. When I started cooking, rain began to fall. When the rain started, I packed the firewood and moved the cooking to this corridor where I am seated right here to cook for my children. While I was cooking that evening, everywhere became dark, so I asked my children to bring our kerosene lantern. When they brought me the lantern, I took it and stayed by the corner while filling it with kerosene. Before we knew it, the firewood and the heat magneted the kerosene and we were all caught up in flames. I quickly grabbed my clothes and tore it. Then I did the same for my little son. I told my daughter, run to your father so that he could help pour water on her body and quench the flame. But before she could meet her father, she was severely burned. So they rushed me and my boy to the hospital. When we got to the hospital in Umuahia, they rejected us. This was how we were helpless. This incident happened on a Thursday. By Friday, we started traveling to Enugu from Umuahia. We were taken to orthopedic hospital in Enugu. Just at the hospital gate, my daughter died. It was at the orthopedic hospital that we were treated. Look at my body. It was too much. It is by the grace of God, I and my son are alive today.
According to the International Energy Agency, this energy injustice contributes to millions of premature deaths annually.
The WHO actually projects that close to 2.3 billion people globally are relying on unsustainable, clean and dirty cooking methods. You know, they are still using firewood, charcoal, and harvest waste, agricultural harvest waste for cooking. And this is causing a lot of challenges globally. We have a lot of fatalities, many of them underreported, that are directly attributed to using dirty methods for cooking.
I am not the only victim of these fire incidents in this village because it is firewood we mainly use to cook. One of the victims narrowly survived. The other victim died because here in the village we do not use gas. Also for electricity we rely on kerosene lanterns.
Here in Nigeria, very moderate estimates are placing the number of fatalities at around 77,000 annually. And this is really a major cause of concern.
When a family lacks access to cooking fuel, clean cooking fuel, and also cleaner electricity, then it becomes much more difficult for them to survive every day. So it is very important that the just transition to cleaner energy is very important that it happens, especially in sub-Saharan Africa and developing countries.
In Nigeria alone, indoor air pollution claims over 93,000 lives annually, as reported by the World Health Organization. Yet, more than 70% of households still depend on firewood for cooking, a necessity with dire consequences.
Much as many countries have now committed to the land degradation neutrality targets under the UNCCD, and many countries have been able to make huge commitments that they are going to reduce deforestation and land degradation. But this is not possible without resolving the clean cooking dilemma. I call it a dilemma because it's a basic human right to eat. It's a basic human right to cook. So the communities will still cook with whatever means that they have. And as it is right now, the only means that they have directly to be able to cook food for their families is firewood and solid biomass that are unsustainable, which is what invariably is leading to continued deforestation, which is leading to further land degradation, which is leading to soil erosion, which is, for example, here in Nigeria, leading to the gradual growth of the Sahelian desert downwards, making it very difficult for some of these ecosystems to regenerate.
I go to the farm to fetch the firewood I use for my cooking.
Transitioning from deforestation and solid biomass to clean cooking technologies is essential for health, safety, and climate action. Beyond fire hazards and pollution, stories like Helen's highlights the human toll. This transition must be driven by innovative, locally adapted technologies to ensure sustainability and widespread adoption.
In fact, a lot of the technologies that have been adopted globally demonstrate that if we have a global focus on the subject of clean cooking and avail the much required resources, then we can be able to avail these technologies in enough numbers to be able to facilitate a transformative resolution of the clean cooking agenda. For example, I still find it very unfortunate, and I think something that needs to be resolved, that a woman or a person who's cooking in the global north has over 5 cooking solutions for various foods that they need to cook. Yet in Africa, many of our cooking women only have 3 stones and firewood, which is becoming difficult to find. And this is the reality of the huge divide between the global north and the global south.
It's not only firewood that is actually the source of energy for cooking in Nigeria. We have the charcoal, we have LPG, we have electric cooking, we have solar.
In Nigeria, only 10% of households use clean cooking facilities, while 55% of households have access to electricity. Bridging this gap requires scalable solutions that preserve cultural cooking traditions while advancing technology.
Cook stove must serve the need, and it must serve, for it to serve the need, it must be locally designed. It must be locally driven. There must be an ecosystem locally that have done the feedback work to be able to understand how the stoves operate and the expectations of the user. That is why it's important that clean cook stove must be locally driven. Nigeria is diverse. As we diverse from the north to the southern part, so also our culture and cuisines are in diversity. So that instructs us to have different types of cook stoves for different types of regions. Because there are some regions that prefer to prepare their cuisine on a particular stove, expecting a particular flavor. So these are the things that we look at. So we don't just build a stove for the fancy of it. We build a stove with usability in mind, and the stove must be adaptable to the local context that we plan to deploy and scale.
Women and girls bear the brunt of this crisis. Fetching firewood costs African women an estimated $800 billion annually in lost economic opportunities.
A lot of people don't understand that when we decarbonize only cook stove globally, it saves us 3% of the total emission. And that 3% is more than the entire global shipping industry. That's to tell you how it can contribute to the climate goal. Now, there are also what they call co-benefits. Apart from saving the environment, they're also saving the ecosystem, the flora and the fauna of the environment.
I believe, and within the UN system, we do believe that clean cooking offers Africa a very, very good opportunity to unlock new climate finance in the name of carbon finance. Saving the current carbon stocks and even investing in more carbon emission reduction strategies and carbon removal strategies from the atmosphere will basically take us back to the very, very importance of nature. And in nature here, I mean our forests, our soil, our grasslands, which are very, very important in terms of carbon sinks. And many of our African countries have a lot of potential to rapidly scale up their abilities to secure even more carbon emission reduction and removal through investing in nature. And it has been demonstrated that as many countries invest in restocking, in securing the current carbon stocks, they can immediately unleash massive opportunities for the flow of carbon finance.
But what we are seeing in Nigeria, for example, you see a stove, an efficiently cooked stove, being priced at $5, whereas outside Nigeria, we see them being priced at $60. So something is wrong somewhere. One of the things we are excited about is that NCCS is ensuring that all stakeholders, especially the developers within the clean cooking space, that their technologies are priced as well as it is being priced outside the country, meaning that they are also trying to build our capacity to be at par with our international counterparts.
When a country takes clean cook stove into the front burner of what they call the NDCs, National Determined Contribution, it will generate more than $200 million every year into the national treasury. And how can that work? A cook stove saves 3 tons of cook stove carbon credit per year. So when you've deployed, let's say, 1 million cook stove in Nigeria, which is like a fraction among 40 million households that we have. So that is like less than 10% of it. When you deploy 1 million cook stoves, that gives you 3 million tons of carbon credit annually.
Addressing these needs can unlock economic growth, improve health outcomes, and drive social progress. The journey towards clean cooking is not just about technology. It's about dignity, health, and hope. It's about ensuring that no family risks their lives for a meal and no community sacrifices its future for survival.
Traditionally, women are responsible for taking care of our meals, from fetching the firewood or getting the fuel to also doing the cooking. So when you don't put them into the design context of designing cook stoves, you build a stove nobody wants to use. So they must be able to make contributions, especially in the design stage, and said, I'll prefer the height. We've done a stove that the height was not what they love, because in a particular region in Nigeria, they have a particular stool they use in cooking. So your cook stove should not be higher than to discomfort the person that is going to cook. So these are little things that are very vital to the usability of the cook stove, and that is why women must be mainstreamed into the clean cook stove agenda.
Here in the village, it is firewood we use in cooking our meals. If anyone will come with better and safer cooking methods to women in the village, we will gladly accept.